Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about two modifications that I made to the truck this summer, and then stick around after that because I need you guys' advice on a future modification that I'll be planning to make for the summer of 2025. So let's get into it. For about a year and a half, my rear suspension, my rear shocks have been leaking. The back left corner has been leaking significantly, basically not really performing their job anymore. Ride quality is terrible, so I decided to swap them out. You can see them back in there for the King 2.5-inch piggyback shocks. Bought them off of Peak Suspension. And there's three reasons I decided to go with these shocks instead of just going with the same old DSSV shocks. First reason is that they are rebuildable. So, you know, when I come across this point in a few years from now and the shock's leaking, is breaking down, it's a lot cheaper to rebuild it than to just buy brand new shocks. So that's the first reason. Number two is that they're easily adjustable just with like a little dial. So you can adjust the shock from softer to more firm. It's got 30 clicks, so right now I have it right in the middle, so if you're all the way to firm, it's 30 clicks to get it all the way to soft. So I have it at 15 clicks exactly in the middle for both shocks, and you just literally turn a dial underneath the shock. So it's super easy. The DSSVs are not that easy to adjust at all, actually. So that's kind of like the biggest reason I decided to go with them over buying just the standard DSSV shock. So the second addition, we went with the Add-A-Leaf. So I'll show it to you here. So you can see it under there, it's just above the overload spring, okay? The Add-A-Leaf only costs like 200 bucks, so it's super cheap. I actually wish I had done it when I put 35s on the truck and leveled the truck. I should have just done the Add-A-Leaf. What it does is it adds 750 pounds of capacity to the back of the truck, which is pretty significant. That's a pretty significant increase, and it's going to lift the back end about an inch to an inch and a half. So it's going to give me a little more clearance, and it's going to bring back that kind of classic truck rake, and I really enjoy that look, actually. So I leveled the front of the truck here, and that was in order to give room for the 35-inch tires and everything, so then the truck became level. But I have the tent and 3-ton jack and all the weight of my gear sitting in the back of the truck, so the back end will start to kind of sag lower than the front end, and that just looks terrible in my opinion. It kind of gives me the ick. I just look at it and I'm like, ugh, gross. So now, here, let's see if I can show it to you. It's kind of hard to see on this angle, but even at this slope, you can tell the back end of the truck is still higher than the front, and with all the weight in there. So it's going to really help keeping the back end of the truck just kind of level and a little bit higher than the front, give me a slightly better departure angle in the rear, and overall it just makes me a little happier. So those are the two modifications we went with for this summer. Overall cost for everything, the piggyback shocks are about $1,600, so you can choose to buy ones that are not adjustable, and those are about $500 cheaper. So if you go with those, you know, but if you can fork up the money and you have it, then go with the adjustable ones, because you can adjust them on the fly based off, you know, what your driving conditions are. Maybe you're towing something. So $1,600, and then the Add-A-Leaf about $200. I did all the work myself. It was my first time doing an Add-A-Leaf, and it took me probably about 5 hours to get it all done. The shocks were super easy. I had a little bit of issues kind of getting the leaf to line up with the axle, and just stuff that you run into that, you know, you wouldn't really know how to fix unless somebody told you. So I kind of had to do some troubleshooting there, and that's why it took so long. But you know, the site says 2 hours for install, but it took me like 5 hours. So just for reference, if you've done stuff like this before, you'll probably be able to do it faster. All right, let's get into why I need you guys' advice. So for 2025 next summer, and the reason I'm waiting that long is I already just bought these brand new tires, so I want to get the use out of them. But I really want to put 37s on the truck, and without doing like a BDS lift or anything like that. So I've already got a 2-inch lift in the back, standard ZR2, right? Then I got an 1.5 with the add-a-leaf. In the front, I have 1.25-inch leveling kit, and my idea, so a truck is a system, right? It's a system, and everything in it works together to complete the system. And when you change one aspect of that system, it creates effect across all the other components of the system. So you can't just throw 37s on and not change a bunch of other things, okay? So I have the spacer up in the front, and that's what's leveling the truck. But my idea is to get the DSSV, it's like the coilover kit, their Trek kit, where it'll give you about 0 to 2.25 inches of adjustable lift up in the front. So what I would do is I would put that on, so it'd be new DSSV shocks with a new coilover, and I can get the coilover, the spring rate changed to adjust for the bigger tire. And then I can lift the truck up in the front about 2 inches. I get a diff drop, so I drop the differential about 1 inch to keep the CV axle more at its normal angle, and that should give me basically an extra inch of clearance in the front than I have now. And I would just probably have to do a little bit of cutting in the front, and that'd be good. And that's what I'm thinking about in my head, is kind of my plan. I've already got the 4.56 gears. I guess what I'm worried about is that I see a few accounts on Instagram of people doing 37s, and they're never really wheeling with it. First of all, they're never really doing any real off-roading with the truck, and it just looks like the suspension and what they got on there can't support the 37s. It just feels sluggish, it feels slow, it doesn't feel right just by looking at it. And right now my truck feels right, everything feels good, 35s, truck, everything I got in there can handle that. And I just want to make sure I maintain that. If you guys have any advice for me on this, or anything I might be missing, or anything I need to consider, that's different from what I've already said, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, and go from there. I mean, the only reason I really want 37s is because every time I come out to Moab, it's just everything out here. I feel like I can only do half the things here, and so 35s are plenty for Colorado. And then when I'm in Colorado, the longer I'm hanging out there, it's like, oh, I don't really need 37s. But then I come back to Moab, and very quickly I'm like, oh, I need 37s. So I don't know. I know it's going to affect highway driving, gas mileage, all that. So I don't really need to hear about that. But just as far as the components and the system, for the truck, adding 37s, is there anything I'm missing? Do you guys think my plan is going to work out? I think it'll be fine. I think all I have to do is a little bit of cutting. There's a few spots that I'm worried about under the truck. I'll show them to you. Get the camera. So right here, that spot right there is metal, so I'm wondering if I'll just shave that away a little bit. Just shave it away and hope everything fits. But everything up here I can just cut. And then in the back here, I would just shave this bit, and then I can even shave this off if that needs to go. And then here, this is easy cutting plastic, so I'm not worried about cutting. I'm actually thinking about getting the high clearance bumper here, and then that'll come with a spare tire carrier, which I desperately need. So that's a part of the plan, is the rear bumper with the spare tire carrier. It's the high clearance rear bumper. You can buy it off a Pink Suspension. It's got a, it's going to raise up the hitch about 5.5 inches, so to greatly improve my departure angle there and give me the spare tire carrier. Well, that's it, guys. We got a lot more content coming out. I got a whole list on my phone of all the trails we're going to be hitting up this summer. So out here in Moab for the second time. We'll be out here at least one to two more times. It's getting really hot here right now. Sleeping last night was miserable, to be honest. It seemed like it was 11 o'clock at night and I'm laying there with no clothes on, just sweating. But so we'll hang out in Colorado a lot more until probably September, October time frame when it cools down here. It's like, yeah, October, even into November. Start coming back to Moab again. So Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the 37's idea. It's I feel like it's a stretch, and not very many people do it on these Colorados, and the people who do, they're usually not wheeling them, they're just kind of driving on dirt roads. So